So let's hop over to our PyCharm editor and take a look at this. And again, we're going to get familiar with PyCharm first of all, and then we'll get familiar with another IDE, VS Code. And I think these are both great editors to have in your toolkit. So I'd like you to introduce you to both of them, but starting with PyCharm. So we opened up PyCharm, and let's open up a new project. So File, New Project. We're going to name it While Loops, and we'll just go in this default location under the folder PyCharm Projects, using Python 3.12, which is our default. We could select a different version if we'd like, but our virtual environment is just going to use Python 3.12. Again, we'll get more into that virtual environment later in the course, so you don't need to worry too much about that. So I know where my project is being created under this folder. I know the name of the project, so I'm going to create it. And I'm going to open this project in this same window. I don't need a new PyCharm window. So we're now creating our project. There we go. So we have a folder called While Loops. As we see, it's in this directory. On the folder is While Loops. And I'm going to right-click on While Loops, this folder. I'm going to say New Python File. And let's do loop control variables. So we see we've created loop control variables.py under that while loops folder. I want to show you something here just as a side note, because I know we haven't done too much in Windows yet. But if I navigate cd change directory to this directory, so I'm already in C, users, Joseph. I need to go to PyCharm projects, while loops. So Python, I'll just tab to autocomplete. And while loops, I'll just tab to autocomplete. So now if we do dir, I see the files in this folder, and we see our loop control variables.py. Let's add a little bit of text to that. Let's just say print, you are here. And I'm going to save. Okay. Whoops, I'm just going to do Control S. That's the easy way. And so I've saved that file. Now if we just run Python loop control variables, you are here. So I just wanted to demonstrate, these are just different ways of running our program. We can also, so we can run it at the terminal or the command prompt like we've just done there. We could also run it here. We have our current file selected. So this loop control variables, this is the current file that I have open. If we had another file, and I'm just trying to teach you as we go about PyCharm a little bit, and then I ran this, it would run another file. So let's Control S to save and run. Here we open up our run docket, and it says another file. We printed out another file. But if we click on loop control variables and click run, you are here. So just to highlight that, by default, it's just going to run our current file. So where were we? We were talking about while loops and control variables. Let's test that out. I think I should probably make this a little bit bigger. Let's see here. Where's our zoom? Oh, here we go. Increase font size. Alt Shift period. Alt Shift period. There we go. This should be a little bit easier for you guys to read. So let's change this. Let's create a control variable. I'll just say control variable equals 0. And we're going to create a while loop. While control variable. And this is one of the benefits of IDEs, by the way, specifically PyCharm in this instance, but most IDEs will have some sort of autocomplete. So I could just hit tab and it completes that based on the variable that it already knew that I had defined. While control variable is less than 5, enter. PyCharm will automatically indent for us. Let's print. Let's use an F string here. Control variable is control variable. That's our variable. And then we'll unindent. So this will not execute in the while loop. This will execute after the while loop is done. We're just going to print done. Control S to save. Now let's run this and see what occurs. What have we done wrong? We're missing something, aren't we? As you can see, this is an infinite loop. I wanted to demonstrate that for you. It is just continuously printing. So let's stop that. That is a lot of output. As you can see, it runs as fast as your processor will handle it, and it's truncating a lot of output too. So if you can think, what are we missing here? Well, control variable is 0. While control variable is less than 5, do this. Okay. So it does this. It goes back to the top of the loop. Is control variable still less than 5? Yeah, it's still 0. So it will just execute indefinitely. What we are missing, as you probably noticed, is we need to increment our control variable. So control variable plus equals 1. Let's try that. There we go. So if we look here in our run pane, we ran the program and it's printing out control variables 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it prints done. It exits the while loop and goes to done. So lastly, what I want to do in this video, I know it's becoming kind of a longer video, but this is a very key point. I want to do some debugging and step you through this while loop. So if you recall from our PyCharm debugging video, what we can do is we can hover over one of these numbers where we have some Python code in that line, and this red dot will appear. We'll click it. We're going to make this a little bigger. So that becomes a breakpoint in our code. Then we can come up here and hit debug, and it will stop our program at that point. So I've hit debug, and we can look at our variables. So we see control variable down here is 0. That's the value. So let's step over. Okay, so control variable 0. It's entered the while loop now. And it's printed control variable is. So if we look at our output here in the console, see control variable is 0. This is our debug console, just like our terminal. Now if we go back to view these variables, let's continue on. So here we're on this line, so it's incrementing control variable now. Now control variable is 1. We're back to the top of our while loop. Let's continue on. So it goes into the while loop again because our control variable is still less than 5. Let's step over that. In our console, we see it now printed control variable is 1 from this line. And I'm going to proceed on, stepping over. We are executing the while loop. We're stuck in this while loop intentionally because our variable is still less than 5. Variable is now 4. Now our control variable, this integer is 5. And we see that we've printed out all the way up to 4. So now, while control variable is less than 5, this expression evaluates to false. So where is our program going to go? What line will it go to? Well, if we hit step over to continue, it does not execute the while loop anymore. It knows this this expression is false, so it goes outside the while loop, outside this indentation level, to the next non-indented line with equal indentation to the while loop. And we're now here. And if we hit next, we printed done. So I wanted to show you that. IDEs are super powerful with debugging and going over our code line by line. And I wanted to highlight for you how a while loop executes and how it keeps looping through while the following expression is true.